Hello, LFD. Today we're going to be talking about pre-incident planning and how to do that and capture that data on emergency reporting. So hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months we're going to be switching to a new system called ESO. But for the time being we're going to be using emergency reporting just like we always have. So I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to get to some of the data that we capture on these buildings and how you can do your own pre-incident planning, which will help us out as far as ISO ratings, getting you guys on the rigs the proper information, and also for accreditation purposes. So you can see my screen here. We're at emergency reporting, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to sign in. And we're going to look up an address. So let's say we are engine 42 and we want to go PIP the Abigail, which is the senior high rise in the old School of the Blind. So most of you are probably going to be familiar with this incident tab right here. And we're actually going to be going down to occupancy. So let's click that. And it's going to bring up all these different information here for categories, name, ID, address, station, inspector. There's two ways that you can search here. You can see here at Celebration Cinema, you can search by name, and also you can search by address. I recommend searching by address because this is going to be the most complete search compared to a name. So let's put in 715 West Willow, which is the Abigail's address. So my recommendation to you is to not put the entire address in because depending on how the information was submitted, it might have some nuances to how it was put in, whether it's W for West or 715 West spelled out, or Abigail Street or Court. So let's go ahead and just put 715W and see what comes up. So I'm going to hit enter. All right, and as you can see, it brought up 1715, some other different stuff here with information. Move this real quick so I can click on this. All right, so all the way down on the bottom here, you can see 715 West Willow Street, Abigail Senior Apartments. So this is the pre-incident plan that we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click this little pencil button. It says Edit. All right, and this is going to bring up information on this building. So as you scroll down under info here, it's going to have Abigail Senior Apartments. This is an R2. It has a little bit of information on the address, latitude, longitude. It has contact here, and we'll get into this in a second, but this is not really where you're going to want to look for contact information. All right, so we're getting into some of this good information here. Building structure. This building was built in 1859, which is some good information for us to know for firefighting purposes. And you can see here, heavy timber type 4. All right, so this is, again, an apartment. It's in Station 2's area, we knew that. And this is a good one to know too. The sign inspector is David Barber. So if you do have a question about what's going on in this building, Dave would be a good person to reach out to. All right, so going back up to the top here, info and contacts. Contacts is the next one. Before we get there, all these tabs underneath Abigail's senior apartment all have to do with this address. If you accidentally click up here, this is going to just bring you to a more generic overview. So if I click on inspections, it's going to bring me to inspections for the entire city, not inspections for Abigail. Where inspections down here is going to take me to inspections that were conducted at Abigail. So if you want to stay within this address, down here underneath the actual title heading is where you're going to want to navigate. So we looked at info. Let's go ahead and click contacts. Contacts down here, we have some information, and this is really good information for you guys, especially after hours if you need to get a hold of somebody for this building. So if you call the on-duty inspector or you call your local fire inspector for your quadrant in the city and you're looking for information, this is where we're going to go 9 times out of 10. We do have access to another program that the building department uses, but if we're looking for an after hours contact, this is what we're going to look up. And you guys have access to the same information. So let's say you wanted to set up a tour. Trish would probably be a good person. Say you have an issue with some elevator keys. Sam or Brad would probably be good people. You're more than welcome to contact these people on your own, or again, you can get a hold of the local fire inspector to help you make contact. All right, so if you're going to go do a pre-incident plan, one of the first things I like to do is make contact with the building management, building owner, whomever, show them this screen and say, are these the right people? Are these people current? Because you guys know as well as we do that the buildings and who owns these buildings, who works in these buildings, it changes all the time. So contact information is huge for us. All right, the next thing we're going to do is click over to inspections. So these are all the inspections down at the bottom that have been recently, since we switched over to emergency reporting, have conducted within this building. So if you click on these, on the print icon here, you can see what has been flagged in this building, what has been corrected in this building. Most of the time for company level stuff, you guys are not going to have to worry about this, okay? But I just wanted to show it to you because it's there. All right, so one point, when we're doing company level pre-incident planning, you guys are not doing inspections. The difference between a PIP and an inspection is that fire code enforcement aspect. We are just trying to get into these buildings to get information about these buildings so you can pre-plan and effectively respond. So we're going to skip past inspections. Again, you can look up what a fire inspector has done. That's what fire inspectors do, is inspections. You guys are going to be doing pre-fire plans. So if you click on pre-fire plans here, this is going to bring up a bunch of information. Now, I picked this building because it's filled out fairly decently, but if you go do a building in your area, you're going to be responsible for putting in this information. So where do we get all this information from? Well, you can get it from maintenance, you can get it from the building owner, you can get it from doing pre-incident planning on your own, things like building height or building width or building length. This can just be an estimate, building height, you can say, okay, it's 4 stories, so maybe 40 to 50 feet would be a good guess. Building width and building length, you can look at Google Earth, or you could just kind of walk it out and see what it is. So if you put in building length and you put in building width and height, number of floors, it's going to give you a square feet right here. All right. So this other information is where we start getting into the stuff that we want to know. So building access, it says access off Willow, no aerial fire lane to Bravo, Charlie, and Delta size. So that's good info to know. Normally occupied, it's an apartment, so it's occupied 24 hours a day. Fire alarm panel, you can put in information there. Also, if you want to just look up information on the way to a call, this isn't the most convenient form in emergency reporting. We're hoping to change that with ESO and some supplemental software that we can push directly to CAD, the MDTs. But for the time being, this is what we have, and this is going to be important stuff to capture on emergency reporting because ultimately we'll be able to switch this over to ESO. All right, so kind of moving on, master key location, Knox box, located near Alpha Door. Other info, FTC is located on Alpha side near the front door. Riser room is located on the first door hallway towards the Charlie side of the building. So all this stuff I put in the last time that I was at Abigail Apartments, and this is what we're going to try and look for you guys to enter. So the more information here, the better. It's ultimately going to be the crews, you guys responding to these addresses. So the more stuff that you can put in here, it's going to be the better. So hazards and problems, this is a good thing to look at, a good thing depending on the building and the nuances of the building to put in. So in these pre-fire plan notes, I put 720-foot hose lay from the FDC to the hydrant at Willow and Roosevelt. So that's obviously a really long lay. So depending on if you were the first due engine, second due engine, incident commander, that's something you may want to reverse lay or think about an alternative way to set this up, set yourself up for success. So electrical panels are in here. Um, and there is also a chemical inventory list, which we typically have not used. We may build this out a little bit more when we switch over to ESO, but for most of our extremely hazardous substance sites, um, that's going to be already built into dispatch, and that information is going to be accessible through the CAD. So that's kind of just a down and dirty on pre-fire plans. The fire protection systems, you can see here, you have a bunch of different hydrant locations in the area, which is super helpful. Connections, sprinklers, water supply. There's more information I put in there. Sprinklers throughout occupied area. 13R system. No sprinklers in attic or concealed spaces. Dry standpipe system. So again, very, very important information for a successful suppression response. So files over here, if you want to upload some photos or you guys take a sketch, so you can load this up here. You can just add a file and then you can obviously access this information. And open this up. And this is very, very rudimentary sketch, but something I just kind of threw in there to just show you guys what it is. So other than that, permits, hazards, and actions, I wouldn't worry about this too much as far as company level pre-incident planning. So the biggest things that you guys want to look at again is a kind of a summary takeaway. Contacts, update these contacts, right? And then pre-fire plans. That's where you're going to start entering your data, your info here when you're doing these, and fire protection systems. So once we get this video kind of rolled out to everybody through Target Solutions, ultimately what we're going to do is have fire inspectors that are assigned to your quadrant, to your firehouse, go out and start doing some of these pre-incident plans and show you guys in the field how to do this. But I just wanted to send this video out to start getting this process moving and this information out there, and hopefully this will be a successful program. Lansing Fire has always done pre-incident planning. The problem is we've never really effectively captured that data for more than one crew on one shift going out one time to a building. So moving some of this stuff, capturing this information in emergency reporting, moving it over to ESO when we get there, and getting some of these supplemental systems to be able to push that information to CAD is ultimately what we're looking to do. So any thoughts or concerns, bring it up to myself or your BC or your local fire inspector for your area, and we can move on from there. Thank you.